Welcome to the XR Magazine podcast. I'm your host, Diana Olenik, and on this show, we dive into the cutting edge worlds of XR, Web3, and artificial intelligence with the brightest minds in the industry, bringing you exclusive insights and game changing conversations that will revolutionize your understanding of the future. We're pretty excited today to be speaking with Jason Harrison, who is the founder of Mix of Reality, an XR consulting and education firm. He has been in tech for over 25 years and worked with companies from the Fortune 100 to the corner shop, as he claims. He is a Unity certified expert and Unity certified instructor. He loves to help individuals and teams level up and prepare for the XR future. The conversation of today is very interesting because we are talking about Vision Pro and the new systems that are required to build for Vision Pro. Because Jason is an expert in the field of XR. Also, we're going to be speaking about all these opportunities that are happening and how the future of XR is looking like in his own eyes, seen through his expertise. I can't wait to begin. Let's do it. Thank you so much, Jason, for being here today. We are super excited to hear from you. We know that you have a lot of active presence on LinkedIn and people is very excited about your work. We want to learn today more about you, of course. Please let us know, how did you get started in this field, in the tech field?
Well, I'll try to make this part of the story short because it actually goes back to the time that I was a teenager. So it came down to this. I had a little bit of money in my pocket and I went to my aunt who worked in Silicon Valley at the time and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about buying a computer or a guitar." And she said, "Buy a computer." And that was really it. So ever since then, I've been writing code. But when I first got that first computer, there was no internet. I had to learn from books and had to learn from books and sort of on my own. And so I'm self-taught almost through and through. And ever since I got that first computer, I've been trying to make it do things. And now I do that with Unity and with XR, and I couldn't be more excited about that.
Yeah, that's amazing. You have a lot of experience with a company, I believe it's called Zeal.
Zeal, yep.
Yes. And please let us know about, maybe not particularly in that company, but in the industry now transitioning to XR. How did you feel that transition from maybe traditional systems or that you were working in the tech industry now with XR?
Yeah, well, so there's a couple of parts to that. One is, I started I started learning computer programming because I wanted to make games. And then I started learning Unity because I wanted to make games. But my career has always been in business. And so, as XR caught more and more steam, I think I did my first AR workshop and first AR application in, I think, 2016 or something like that, when AR Kit became a thing and you could do augmented reality on your phone with Unity and things like that. And I just really see a lot of potential especially for businesses, to take advantage of this immersive technology in lots of different ways. There's, of course, a lot of fun ways to do things with it, a lot of game things too. But since I've spent most of my career in business, I think a lot about how businesses can leverage this technology as well. I mean, I was doing technology before the internet was a thing. And so I was there when companies went from, I think the internet might be a fad, to, oh, I need to have a website. I was there for that transition. And I think we're in a similar place today with immersive technologies, or spatial computing, as Apple has called it, where businesses are looking at it saying, I'm not sure. And pretty soon they're going to be saying, I need that. And so I'm really excited about that.
Yes, for sure. There are so many interesting things here to touch on. By the way, I like to bring a little even more context that this conversation that we're having today is of equal value for starting developers as well for businesses, because we're going to explore a little bit of those two point of views and also value that everyone can have there. So speaking about businesses, what we have seen sometimes is that it is a little bit, for the same reason that you just mentioned, sometimes difficult to portray the value of XR, especially when not every single business has implemented this type of systems. So I wonder, what is your recommendation, or how do you approach those particular situations where businesses still don't understand, and maybe they want to jump when they see more traction with other businesses doing the same?
Yeah, I think right now we're still in a stage where we need to show them. We need to demonstrate these things for them. Part of it will come from their competitors jumping in and them seeing their competitors grow from making that decision. But in other cases, I think it's kind of our job, the people who are in the industry now, to create these experiences and take them to these businesses and say, hey, you could be doing this thing, right? And one easy one, I think, is in a sales process. There are a lot of businesses who have a difficult and lengthy sales process because they have to create some sort of rendering. They've got to draw up a picture of a thing before somebody will buy it. Well,
Yeah.
now with XR, we can do it live, right? We can bring our devices to their place, whatever that is, and demonstrate it in real time and let them see this. A great example. I saw just today a video of a person who created an application to visualize a remodel of their bathroom where they had tore out a shower and now it's just blank framing in their house. And so they created an application in probably Unity, but I don't know for sure. Anyway, for their Quest Pro, they put it on their head, and now they're able to place a shower in the spot they want to see it, and see it through pass through. So they're seeing their bathroom and this new shower, changing the tile and all this other stuff. That's a great example of the ways that businesses are going to leverage this technology as it becomes more accessible to them, where you don't have to be a programmer to do it. And things like that. That's a simple example, but I think more and more businesses will be doing that almost automatically within the next few years.
That's super exciting. And you actually put the specific example that I talk a lot about, because I like design, interior design, and architecture. And I was having these days a conversation with an interior designer here in Winnipeg, where I live, exactly about that. So in the process of creating an app, we've discovered these type of things as well. At the moment, or when businesses actually get this headset, they really understand what it means, this, because
Yep.
in a sales process for this type of technology, is pretty difficult to convey the value of this through an email, or
Yep.
right, or a photo. Even it's pretty difficult. It's an experiential
Yep.
type of
Yep.
product that needs to be focused or approached like that to actually show the value. So yeah, it seems creating the experience in the same way as in architecture happens, creating a rendering first is right now the anchor, the first anchor. But I also feel, or intuitively, I can see that maybe over time this might start to change, because you also mentioned you maybe at some point might not even have to code, right? To that.
Right.
I like to get a little bit more of that aspect that you say. Where do you think that the technology is going, or why do you say that? Because it gets pretty exciting.
Well, part of the reason that I say that is because I think for wide adoption within businesses, it has to become that way. I think about back when I used to sell websites back in the early 2000s, and all of a sudden every business had to have a website. what is the most popular web platform on the planet? It's WordPress. Why? Because you don't have to code anything in WordPress to make a website. And I think in the same way, we're going to have to create tools and devices and user interfaces and things like that in XR so that businesses can capitalize on this technology without having to hire programmers, without having to be super techies, because let's face it, most business owners are not techies and don't necessarily have techies on staff.
Yes.
So, we have to make these tools work for them in order to have wide adoption and acceptance of this technology.
I am very excited about that really you're speaking out about this, because in the past also, I even was able to share how in today's world we can create an app for a business app without coding. An app like the business can run their store, everything without coding anything. So there are these type of platforms out there. I suspect the same is going to happen with XR applications for businesses. And that's where creators as well, this is when it ties with developers, can see opportunities to create very functional, very practical, solution-driven, right? Opportunities to capitalize on this. What are your thoughts about that?
I agree 100%. There's a lot of opportunity for developers, for companies who are in this space to create these things, because let's face it, in the near term, it's going to have to be a concierge experience, right? I'm going to go to a business and say, I will make an app for you, because right now the tools are not widely available. And frankly, there are definitely people working on this problem, so I know it will happen. But for today, it still takes somebody going to a business and saying, hey, I know you don't know what this is, but I've created this little demonstration to show you what can be done with your product, and I can make this for you. So it's going to be, a little while before everyone just accepts that that's a thing. We have to teach them in the near term. So there's still tons of opportunities for early moving companies and early moving developers to help businesses get acclimated to this while the rest of these platforms are being built.
Yeah, it's just that it's an evolution process. Thank you so much. Yeah. So Jason, you've been in the industry for more than 30 years, and I'm pretty sure, as you mentioned initially, you've seen many transformations in the industry happening. What have been some of the most profound transformations, and what maybe could be ones that you're foreseeing to come?
Yeah, that's true. I definitely have been around for a long time. I think the thing that the cycles that we can pretty easily see, if we look at long enough period of time, is that during the early adoption, things are expensive, things are difficult, things are, the making new things requires finding very specialized talent and things like that. And then after a little while, systems get created and become more accessible to a wider audience. WordPress, again, is a great example. There was a time when it was very expensive and very difficult to put a website on the internet, and then come along WordPress and things like Squarespace and so forth. They make it much more accessible. And I think we're in a similar pattern with XR, where the early and it's just now gaining more popularity, but literally this has been around for over 20 years. People experimenting and trying to bring these technologies forward, but we're still very early, and we're still in that point where things are a bit expensive, talent is a bit specialized, tools are a bit specialized, hardware obviously has challenges, but we're going to see all of those things resolve, just like they did with the internet and other computing platforms where they used to be hard and now they're not. XR is going to be the same thing, and that's why I'm very excited about it right now, because anybody who we can sort of shepherd into it is going to be a part of that process, and going to be a part of not only of the creation of all of these things and the creation of these tools, but also be participating in what could be a very lengthy career as well as this technology continues to mature.
Yeah, that's right. It's gonna be, like in terms of the profound transformations or changes, there are gonna be amazing things I am foreseeing. For example, maybe some potential interesting infuse their aspects with artificial intelligence as well with extended reality, where we might be able to say inside an extended reality experience, create a button for designers or create and so then through this system we could cut significantly the process of the creation that right now we're undertaking. So I foresee that that is going to be an amazing opportunity as well, where now I guess developers learn at the same time than all the systems for XR with Unity, but also Unity itself recently disclosed the integration that they are having as well with artificial intelligence systems, which we are waiting access for that. Even like myself, I'm waiting access to that set of tools. So what are your thoughts about this fusion of artificial intelligence with these extended reality systems?
Yeah, we've already seen proofs of concept of exactly what you're talking about, right? Where somebody currently, mostly they're typing a prompt and then a web form will get generated or something like that. But there have also been a handful of people who have made voice to text to, basically use their voice to make a prompt and then have that prompt return some sort of a output. I think, it's not going to be very long before we have, the sort of Star Trek holodeck experience where we say create this and it's like sort of real life looking experience, but it's still a little ways away. And I think there's still a lot of time for us to work on the technology that's going to make that happen. I think there's also going to be, there will always be people who want to have more control over it. Like, they want to have their hands in the gears, if you will, and they want to write the code and they want to create things by hand. That's always going to be a thing. So I don't think that we're going to be replaced entirely by AI right away, but it's definitely a part of what we're going to be doing. I use ChatGPT right now as a collaborator, for lots of things. I can basically tell it what I'm trying to accomplish, and it doesn't really matter the subject. It can do most of them, right? I tell it what I'm trying to accomplish. I ask it what questions it has in order to help me, and then we have a back and forth conversation. And I think more and more of that is going to be a part of our development process when we're making things in Unity or other tools. It's going to be a part of our learning process. Again, it's tireless, right? The AI doesn't get tired, right? You can ask it all the questions you want and it'll give you all the answers, and you can tell it that's not what I'm looking for, and it'll give you different answers. And so our potential for learning new things and creating new things, I think, is only going to be increased by AI, at least in the near term.
Yes, for sure. I recently read an article where it had a very long explanation of how at some point artificial intelligence is going to be able to code anything and create anything. And so then this article is a source of a little bit of concern as well as it is for designers, because now it can design anything for developers. What are your thoughts about this?
It's true. There's also a meme that's been going around, and maybe you've seen this, and I'm sure many of your audience have seen it, but it says something like, in order for AI to be successful at creating a product, it has to be able to understand what the product manager is describing to it. So as long as that's the case, developers' jobs are secure. So because that process is, it's a back and forth. It's not as simple as make a blue button. Like, yes, you can make a blue button, but is that actually the problem that needs solving? That's part of what the human element brings to it, right? We ask different questions. We explore what's the actual problem to solve, not do you need a button? Whereas AI will very happily provide you a button that may not actually be what is needed. And so I think as long as there's, and granted, computers will eventually learn to do this as well. I'm not pretending that that's not going to be the case, but at least in the short term, I think that the human and AI partnership is going to be what accelerates and elevates a lot of what we're doing, at least for the near term, until the AI learns all the things.
Yeah, I'm super. I've been spending a lot of time trying to understand more and more the systems and the commercial systems that are there already, not necessarily the backend, the machine learning, more advanced technical stuff, but at least testing the stuff that is happening. And I can see how for design as well, it has a lot of potential to help, to aid product designers, creative directors, designers of all kinds, architects, engineers. It's amazing what it can do. And rather than being afraid of that technology, of course, the invitation is always to actually, let's make it part of our toolbox. Rather than, no, I'm not gonna bother with that. If it can code better than me, I don't want to even touch that. I want my hard skills, but it's good. It's good to have a sense of what the technology is doing right now, at what level we are, and how we can incorporate it. So that's the invitation there. And definitely, I believe that you have been maybe through different challenges trying to help people in XR, because I know that's one of your aim, your core, like helping people in XR. What have been of the most biggest challenges and how you've been able to help them, I know it brings you a lot of joy helping people, to understand and work with XR.
It really does. I'm a very, very strong advocate for people to jump into this industry and into this technology. In fact, right now I have a cohort of people who I am basically coaching, but we're working on. Every one of us has committed to spend 30 days just trying to get better and better and better. And so it's been a lot of fun to help those folks. And I think that at least for me in that context, the most challenging part is that everyone is starting from somewhere different and everyone is headed to somewhere different. So they have a different goal or a different target. And so, it's been fun and challenging to help them where they are and to help them get to where they're trying to go. But I've been very, very pleased with the feedback so far that people have for being part of that community. We have about 38 members who took me up on this offer because I wanted to do it too. I wanted to challenge myself to just try to do something in XR every single day in Unity. And they've been very, very happy with it. I think the most challenging part in general, because I work with developers or people who want to be developers, is that people have already invested in a certain technology stack, for example. Maybe they're a web developer right now and they want to do XR, but they don't want to start over with that investment. And so sometimes I do work with them to say, okay, you already know these other things, just add a little bit of Unity and you have kind of the whole package. So I try to help them see that they're not so far off. And then for people who are brand new to technology, like they're a blank canvas and they just want to do all the things. And so that can be challenging too, because XR is such a broad field. Trying to do too much and trying to learn too much makes you have a very diverse knowledge base, but not really an ability to kind of see a product or a project all the way through yet. So I have to try to help them narrow in their focus a little bit so that they can make good forward progress.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. That's definitely the case. We also see that very often. how new people, although they can have, the blank canvas as well, it might be overwhelming to say, okay, I'm going to create something for augmented reality, or I'm going to focus in virtual reality. And in those ones are also branches of many things that can be learned, or that you can become specializing, and mixed reality. Which takes me to one of the last questions, and also interesting because it's happening right now. Maybe you know what I'm going to ask you, but it's related with the latest spatial computing device released by Apple. So just to put you in context, I'm an Apple person. Even developing with the Oculus Pro, I kept my MacBook, my iMac. I'm all about Apple. When I discovered that they were going to release this device, I was excited because I am also as well in the process of improving my creation skills in XR, design and development. And I love to maybe create an experience for the Vision Pro. But because you've been so much in the industry, and we actually acknowledge a lot of your expertise, and you've seen many devices and technologies happening throughout your life, I wonder, what are your particular thoughts about that particular device?
Well, I, like you, am a pretty avid fan of Apple products. I've got an iMac Pro over there, and iPhone and iPad and all the things. And part of why I did that, why I invested in those tools, was because of ARKit, was because Apple brought augmented reality to us, in a mobile device, like I said, in 2016, 2017, something like that. And so I've always been pretty confident that by investing in that ecosystem, that eventually it would be worthwhile, and they would have these other spatial computing devices for us to experiment with as well. I'm frankly very excited about it. I really want to see more of the specs. I want to know how much onboard storage it will have and things like that, and whether I could potentially replace my desktop Mac and just use that device. I know they demonstrated it being used with the MacBook Pro, on a desktop, and kind of integrating with that, but I'd love to just replace it entirely if I could. And so I'm very excited about it, but I also think it has a different intention. It's a different platform. It isn't trying to compete with the Quest Pro or the Quest 3. It's a different experience. And that's what Apple does, is they bring sort of what feels like a familiar device, and they apply a completely different experience to using it. And I think that's what we're going to see from them. Historically, they weren't about the enterprise. They were, barely about businesses in general, really. Like, a lot of their products weren't intended for businesses in general, but very focused on businesses that were about experiences. And I think that the Vision Pro is an experience device that's going to kind of introduce us to a new way of computing, a new way of experiencing a lot of different things, media, certainly. But I don't know what the path will be. I think it'll just get better at doing that. I don't think it'll necessarily try to be, the VR gaming headset, for example. I don't think that's their intention at all. But I do think that making software for it will be very exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
That's super, super, super exciting for me also to hear from you, an expert in the field, because I also experiencing the products that I've experienced for several years. I kind of understand what you mean, because we understand it from the design, from how we work with these products, and how the thought process that they use to make it, why it makes sense for these engineers or designers that they created the product. So I'm also excited about experimenting with this and seeing how it unfolds, right? How evolves. That being present in that journey is pretty interesting also for a professional, as we know. So we're also trying to see ways now and educating ourselves better and better to see how we could also create an experience there. because that would be just as developers got excited when the iPhone came out and were able to put their experience or their app in the store. So this is what we are up to right now. And I believe Jason is an amazing person to help inform developers and businesses as well in these processes, how they can not only jump into XR, but how they can get better informed in how to do this, like from an expert. Jason is a Unity certified expert and Unity certified instructor. And as we know also for the Vision Pro, this is going to work well with Unity as well with their own proprietary systems. So Jason, I'd like to know right now if you could share where people can reach out to you or how people can contact you in case that they need to discuss one of these opportunities with you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for that opportunity. I've really appreciated having this conversation with you as well. If people want to connect with me, they can go to my website. I have a very simple website. It's at jasonspatial.com, and connections to my LinkedIn are there, email and other things. And if anybody listening is interested in potentially exploring the next cohort of this kind of coaching program I'm doing, that's at letsbuildxr.com, and they can fill out a little form to express some interest there in the next one. So either of those places, I can be found certainly on LinkedIn. And I use the same profile picture everywhere. So hopefully that's identifiable.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Jason. We definitely had so much fun learning from your point of view, from your experiences, from your own ideas that you have of how this is going to evolve, and your input that you have very, very strongly in the industry, and all the help and value that you bring to aspiring developers, already developers, and businesses. Thank you so much, Jason, and see you in the next episode. Bye for now.